Welcome to running on Reddit r/MaliciousCompliance, where sometimes the best way to get what you want is by playing by someone else's rules. This did happen about 15 years ago, but I can't help snickering about it from time to time. In high school, I was a pretty mild-mannered kid. I came from a very strict household, and a call from the school was absolutely unacceptable. I also wanted approval from authority figures, as I rarely got it at home, so I kept quiet, did good work, and was generally well liked by my teachers. Like I said, it was a strict household and my outfits were closely inspected for modesty by my very conservative parents. If it passed at home, it wasn't going to get me in trouble. I tried hard to fit in with the other kids though, and found that wearing a layer underneath made regular outfits pass the home dress code. So I still got to wear the distressed jeans, but you could see black leggings instead of my knees. Not a huge deal, and it helped me feel better about my appearance, at least socially anyway. As trends were set, leggings became super popular. Finally, I was ahead and on point with my style. Some girls did begin to abuse the system though. School dress code required skirts to be no shorter than 3 inches, 1 index card above the knee. Standard was suddenly lots of tiny denim mini skirts with leggings. So the school cracked down and said leggings were no longer allowed underskirts. Of course, since I had different home rules, I didn't even own a skirt that short. My skirts had to reach the knees, which was 3 inches longer than the school requirement. I didn't even mention the new school rule at home, because I didn't think it was an issue. So I get super cute, wearing my knee-length denim skirt and leggings, as it was still trendy and a bit chilly out, pass home inspection and head off to school. Nothing was said in my first 3 classes, but like I said, I was a good kid and always well covered. One of the super mean teachers, not even mine, just one standing outside her door, spotted my skirt and leggings in the hall, and grabbed me and marched me down to the office. I knew of the rule change, but I truly thought it wouldn't be a big deal, since I wasn't wearing a mini skirt. She shoved me in and yelled something about a dress code violation and left to return to her class. I was called in, thinking the principal, who I didn't know well, would laugh with me about her unreasonableness. Boy was I wrong. He screamed up and down how I was dressed inappropriately, and he would be calling my parents to come get me to take me home to change. Oh no. Oh no. As I stood and turned around showing him my clothes, I tried to argue that my skirt met code and the leggings covered more. I even tried to explain that my parents would take it out on me in an aggressive manner. He wasn't going to hear any of it. I had to think fast. Cue malicious compliance. While he was still looking for the number to call, I kicked off my shoes and began wiggling the leggings down and off, right there in his office in front of him. Since my skirt was long enough, I shoved my pants in my bag and stated that now he has no reason to call my parents. I was fully compliant with the dress code of the school. As he stared with his mouth agape, I could see him turning red while trying to figure out how to deal with me. He ended up just yelling, "Get out of my office. Get to class." Never have I felt so relieved. TLDR, leggings weren't allowed underskirts, but I thought mine would be fine, since it met regulations. When I got in trouble, I removed my leggings from under my skirt right in front of them. Love stories like this where you get in trouble for going the extra mile. Good thing OP played it smart. Hi there. Long time lurker, first time poster, on mobile so please be gentle. I deliver home heating oil in a very rural and mostly flat part of the UK. In my delivery area there are many large drainage channels, or dikes, in the local lingo. The roads are often very narrow and single track and frequently run alongside these dikes separated only by a narrow grass verge. No safety barrier. Anywho, this one day in the depths of winter it was below freezing. There had been a light spattering of snow and there was a thin scum of ice on the water in the dike. I had just finished doing a customer's delivery and was winding in the hose prior to collecting payment and departing. My truck was completely blocking the road as there was nowhere for me to pull it off the road. We are limited by the length of delivery hose. Blocking the road is common and legally acceptable, as long as we work quickly and safely. So, I was just waiting for the customer to finish writing the check for their oil when this large Mercedes car pulls up behind my truck and the driver immediately starts leaning on the horn. and shouting and swearing and shouting at me to backquote, "Move that ducking truck out of the way, now." My usual response when faced with similar behavior is to blank the swearer and pretend they don't exist. Being 6 feet 3 inches and 285 pounds helps keep most people at bay. I ignored Mr. Shouty Man and finished up with my customer. The customer said to me, "Ignore him, he's well known in the village for being a bit of a pickle." I said goodbye and got into my truck. As I was putting away my paperwork prior to driving off, I happened to glance on the driver's side mirror, the same side of the truck as the dike, and saw Mr. Shouty Man storming up the side of the truck with a tire iron in his hand. Oh crap. Thinks I, and immediately hit the central locking button, locking myself in the cab. Next thing I know, Mr. Shouty Man has climbed up onto the step, is hanging off the mirror arm with one hand, and brandishing the tire iron with the other, all the while shouting, "Open this door, you four-eyed dumbiehead. I wear spectacles for driving." Oh, the wit of the man. Lol. Cue malicious compliance. He told me to open the door. So I did, but, as I did so, I kicked it open. He lost his grip on the mirror arm and was flung backwards into the dike up to his chest in freezing cold, filthy water. I calmly started my engine and drive off. As I left, I looked in the mirror to see this guy floundering around chest deep in the icy water, dressed in a business suit. I called the customer who had witnessed everything, and happily they said that they would give a statement to whoever needed one, confirming I acted in self-defense. Then I made a fairly difficult call to my boss and told him what had happened, and he said backquote, "I'll await his call with interest." No barlicking, nothing. When I got back to the yard that evening, I asked my boss what had happened, and apparently no call of complaint was made that day or ever. That is my story. Please be gentle. TL. DR got threatened by violent motorist. Obeyed his instruction, which caused him to fall into freezing water. Glad OP complied, otherwise there would be no telling what that pickle would have done. If you like the content and want to support the channel, like and subscribe right now, or you'll be running on fumes. TL. DR neighbor/Karen takes advantage of our company with outrageous claims, then uses us as a reference. We get our point across with creative wording. Karen continues to use us as reference and was clueless we protected fellow business owners. Let's call her Karen, just because it fits. She came in and applied for a job, and when I looked at her resume and application, I realized she knew some of my old neighborhood friends and schoolmates. She interviewed well, so I gave her a job. Told her to be in Monday at 9 AM. Monday morning, she is not in. She no calls, no shows. Tuesday, no call, no show. I had now written her off. Wednesday, she shows up about noon. Claims she was in her basement Sunday night and her brother was working out, and he accidentally knocked her out during his intense workout. She claimed her doctor told her she had a concussion and she should stay home for a couple days. She had no doctor's note, no marks on her head, but thinking her story was so off the wall it could almost be true, I let her come to work the next day. She worked Thursday and Friday. We paid at the end of every week and I gave her a check Friday. I also did not deduct the days she missed. She came to me and asked about the full paycheck. I told her we were a family business and realized people had lives outside work. He tried to make sure people knew they were appreciated and tried to take care of our people. She teared up and thanked me and said we could count on her. She worked the full next week, did okay. She seemed to fit in. Seemed. The third week, she showed up Monday, but Tuesday was another no show no call. We did not hear from her for over 2 weeks. When she finally showed up, her story was the stuff of legends. She claimed her husband had forged divorce papers a couple years previous. Thinking she was divorced, she moved back into her parents' house. She claimed her ex-husband was at her parents' house when she got home the last night she worked. He told her he made up the divorce and the paperwork was funny, so they were still married, and he wanted to get back together. She claims she refused, and he kidnapped her. She said it took her until a couple days ago to get away from him. She wanted to come into work the next day. She did not call the police and he wasn't arrested. There was nothing in the papers or on the news about any of this. She was not hurt, thank God. She asked if I believed her. I did not, but told her that I really needed someone I could count on coming in reliably every day. I gave her a paycheck for 1 week She had worked one day and told her I wished her good luck. I had already replaced her, and her replacement was one of the best employees we ever had. Here's the malicious compliance. The next month, I come into a phone message that someone from 30 company called for a reference for Karen. As my secretary is handing me the message, she's laughing at the look on my face. I asked if she was kidding. She said she was not. She said she got a call from a man saying he was the owner of a company in the area and he asked about Karen. Then my secretary asked if she could listen in on the call. She was a pistol. She then goes and gets my partner and tells him I'm going to call and give Karen a reference. Now he is in my office laughing too. I call the guy and we make some small talk. I tell him what we do and he tells me what he wants Karen to do for him. I tactfully avoided answering any of his questions about Karen directly. I think he was beginning to suspect something. Remember folks, employers can get in a ton of trouble for bad references. He finally asked my opinion of Karen, and what I said was, if you can get Karen to work for you, you will be very lucky. He heard what I said, and how I said it. He repeated that back to me exactly as I said it. All my words were the right ones. It was my tone and intonation that got my point across. He thanked me and hung up. Karen comes into the office a couple days later. She looks mad, but is trying to be pleasant. She told me she is having trouble finding a job and mentioned she has used me as a reference. She wanted to know if anyone from 30 company has called me. She knew they did. She told me she really want the job at 30 company. I told her I had been called and that I told the guy he'd be lucky to get her to work for him. My secretary confirmed that's what I told him. She told him she was right next during the whole conversation. Karen smiled and thanked me and headed to the door. She said she wondered why she was having so much trouble getting a job. She asked if she could continue to use me for a reference, and I told her absolutely. I also told her I'd tell everyone the same thing, that any employer would be lucky if they can get you to work for them. She walked away smiling, happy and clueless. The lady would make a great creative writer. That is, if you are lucky enough for her to work for you. Cleaning out my home office today and stumbled across paperwork I had saved for whatever reason from a shoddy call center job I worked at 15 years ago. This was an outbound sales thing and it was non-stop calls all day. Needless to say the job sucked. With the constant talking though, your voice would start cracking throughout the day if you didn't hydrate. So I would bring jugs of water to sip on all day long. This of course meant frequent trips to the restroom. I never abused these trips and they were always 3 minutes or less. But of course this wasn't good enough for management. Oh no. One day my manager demanded I get a doctor's note if I wanted to pee at any time other than one of my 2 regularly scheduled breaks. I could tell she was convinced I would not do it. I scheduled the appointment and filled the doctor in, who thought it was hilarious that this manager either 1 didn't understand biology or 2 was on a huge power trip. He provided me with the most condescending doctor's note ever. Needless to say she was not happy. My co-workers though all made trips to the same doctor and got similar notes. Pretty sure I wore a shot-eating grin every time I walked to the bathroom after that. That's one power trip that did not work out. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and turn on the bell or you'll be running on fumes. See you in the next video.